G'day, Justin from Duratough. So today we're going to show you how to assemble one of our new lifestyle sheds called a Marlborough. Now it's around about 3 metres by 3 metres, so it's a fairly sizable shed. You can see we've got a concrete pad down, and Keith's on his way down to go through the whole assembly process, and we'll break it down bit by bit as we've done with the other sheds, just to help you if you want to do it yourself. Now obviously to me that sounds like work, so as you know, I've got to go. We'll see you later on.
Now as usual, I won't lift a finger, I'll just talk you through what Keith is up to. Now your lifestyle range shed will come packed in a single crate about as long as the longest side of the shed. So this Marlborough is about 3.5 metres long. Break down the crate and grab the instruction manual. On the first page you'll find a few important things to check before you start. Ideally for your assembly session, you want a nice flat area with a bit of space, somewhere to help out, and favourable weather. You'll also need the appropriate safety gear and tools required to get the job done, and although not required, vice grips are also very useful. Turn the page and you'll find the parts list, and while you're unloading the crate it pays to check they're all in good shape and nothing is missing. Now there's more than one way to build a shed, so Keith's method of construction may differ from the manual. So at each step please proceed with whichever method you feel most comfortable and confident with. Time to construct the timber frame. Keith starts with the back wall, so grab the green bottom plate, red top plate, yellow studs and unmarked central nogs. Then go ahead and nail the top and bottom plates to the studs using two 90mm nails in each corner. Use the nogs to position the central studs, then nail them to the plates at both ends. Then measure 1200mm from the bottom and attach the nogs. That's the back wall done. Usually you'd attach a layer of damp-proof course to the bottom plate to protect it from damp, but we're adding a second bottom plate, so we'll show you that later. Repeat these steps to make the side walls and the front wall as much the same, but obviously the central studs are replaced by the double stud on each side of the door. Position the outer stud using the nogs as before. You then want to attach the lintel to the upper stud before placing in the frame. Then attach the lintel to the top plate using the short studs. Space these evenly. Now you need to join the wall frames together, so take two adjacent sides and clamp to hold them in place. Then drill and attach using 100mm Tek screws. Repeat to attach the other walls. You now want to fix damp-proof course to the corners. Lay it out and fold it in half to get a nice crisp edge, then attach to the corners using 30mm clouts. Keith will now add the DPC to our bottom base plate and fix it to the bottom walls. He then runs DPC around the base. Now you may be wondering why we've doubled up the base plate, and that's because the base plate would usually sit on the edge of the pad and the cladding would overhang the edges. But as we're setting the shed on an existing pad, the cladding can't overhang, so the extra base plate rises it up just enough for the cladding to sit flush with the base. That's the frame built. Now to attach the cladding. You can start on any wall and all follow the same basic steps. Before you put up the first sheet, measure 850mm down from the top plate on each corner and tap in a nail. This will hold up the sheet while you attach it. With the valley and the corrugate of the roof, line the sheet up with the top of the top plate and nail it down with a few nails. Grab your next sheet and put it in place, making sure the top sheet overlaps by a full ridge. Then drill and rivet at each end. Repeat with the final sheet. The front wall is the same, but put up the door side sheets first, then attach the lintel flashing before putting up the lintel sheet. Once all the cladding is on, go ahead and screw down all the sheets in each corner using 25mm roofing screws through every second valley. Time to put on the corner flashings. Peel off the protective film and place the corner so the top lines up with the top of the wall sheets. Check the sheet is roughly sitting square, then attach using 55mm roofing screws through the flashing of the ridge in the corrugate. On the back wall, make sure the top screw is a few ridges down so it doesn't interfere with the spouting. Speaking of spouting, time to get it prepared. Decide which end you want your downpipe and cut a hole using the dropper as a template, then attach the dropper. Make sure it is at least 200mm from either end and so it's clear of the corner flashing so you can attach the downpipe cover without issue. You then need to insert the end caps. Once that's done, put the spouting in place so there's equal overhang on each end and nail it down with 30mm clouts. Now that's nailed, time for the roof. Attach the front wall top flashing and put up your roof beams. These sit on top of the studs and are notched at the end to account for the slope of the roof. So the beam with the smallest notch goes at the front and they get bigger as you go back. Attach to the studs using nail plates and 25mm roofing screws and nail it to the top stud from the outside. Put up your first roof sheets, make sure it's parallel with the wall and overhangs at front and rear as per the instruction manual, then screw it down with 55mm roofing screws through the last ridge in each corner. Chuck up the rest of the roofing sheets, line them up, rivet at each end and screw to the beams as you go, ensuring they overlap in the same direction. However, if you have a clear roof panel, ensure this sits on top of the steel on both sides. The front flashing requires a small notch to be cut out of each end, then hang it centrally on the front of the roof and rivet down. Before you put on the barge flashing, remove the screws from the outer side of the roofing sheet, then lift the barge into place, line it up and attach to the beams using 55mm roofing screws through the ridge of the corrugate and to the front flashing and rear spouting using rivets. That's the structure of the shed complete, and we've moved it to its final position. Because it's sitting on a pad, we'll run a bead of silicone under the walls to help stop water ingress and fix it down using dynabolts or masonry screws. You can do this through the bottom plate, but if you're close to the edge of the pad, it's better to use brackets like we are. Time to prep the door area. Cut out the bottom plate where the opening is and attach the door side flashings. Make sure your lintel is all screwed and nailed off, then attach the door top flashing. At the top of the door, measure up 120mm and down 80mm and mark on the studs. The top mark is where the top of the door brackets will sit. You might notice the official door instructions say to mount these brackets with the screws on the inside, but Keith finds it much easier doing up the screw on the outside. Once you put up the brackets, measure from the ground to the bottom mark. Mark this on your door tracks. Make sure to measure from the bottom of the door stop. Then cut the door tracks to length and slide on the mounting clips. Tape around the bottom to stop these sliding off when you stand the tracks up. Right, let's get this door ready. Don't unwrap it yet. Center the rod and attach the locking collar. Then up she goes. Sit it on the support and fix in place with the U-bolts. Now chock the door so it doesn't unroll. Keith uses a clamp, but a bit of timber will do. Now you can get rid of the rest of the wrapping. Be careful cutting it off or you'll have a nice big scratch across your door. Attach the door stops, then stand your door tracks in place and attach to the studs, spacing the clips evenly. Remove the chock and unroll your door. In your door kit, there's little plastic doohickeys for the locking rods to go through. Insert these in the same valley as the door handle. Put the outside handle in place, then screw on the inside locking mechanism. Thread the locking rods through the plastic doohickeys and attach at the lock end. Put the door all the way down, mark the tracks where the locking rod lines up, then go ahead and make a slot on each track by drilling a few holes, then filing them out. Give it a test to see if it locks good, then attach your bottom handle. Now we'll go around the walls screwing it off. Mark where the studs are on your cladding using a marker, not a pencil. Then attach using 25mm screws through the valley as per the instructions. And you're all done. But before you celebrate, make sure you wash down your shed to remove any metal swarf and visit duratough.co.nz/warranty to register your warranty. Great stuff, well done.